have a serious but really important question for you. What do you say to a 25-year-old widow with a 7-month-old baby boy? Or to a 68-year-old man whose wife of 47 years just died? How do you comfort a college student whose friend just took his own life? Or whose parent just died of cancer? These are really important lessons that we just never get taught. So what we do is we pick up what everybody else does and we just perpetuate the mistakes. You see, we have a pervasive problem that we could spend our entire time here on, but we won't. We live in a death-denying society, right? I mean, it's so bad. Nobody ever dies in this country. They don't die. What do? Well, yeah, if they pass away, they're resting in peace, they're lost, they're 6 feet under. We don't want to face the reality of death. We don't want to talk about it, don't want to see it in someone else, definitely don't want it to happen to ourselves. And so we never learn. We don't know how to handle death and grief, and we don't know how to walk somebody else through it when it happens to them. Allow me a concrete example. This is me at the age of 25 with my beloved husband John and our baby boy Carl. You know, after 2 difficult miscarriages, when Carl was born, we felt like the luckiest people on the face of the earth. When Carl was 7 months old, 4 days after this picture was taken, that luck evaporated. John kissed me goodbye before the sun was even up that morning on his way to a business meeting about 3 hours out of town. On his way home that night, another car slammed broadside into his, and John was killed instantly. My entire world just shattered. Now, immediately, people rushed in to help. Lots of people loved me. I'm one of 10 children. Yeah, 10. The problem is, nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew what to say. All I knew is that I wanted to heal. Carl didn't have a father. He darn well better have a mother. So I faced my grief head on. I went places we used to go together, did things we used to do together, but I did them alone. I forced myself to say the words. I threw temper tantrums on the living room floor. I questioned and reformulated my entire faith. I read everything I could get my hands on, and I learned a lot about how our society does and does not support people who are grieving. And through it all, I grew in ways I never could have imagined. I tried to share my knowledge with whoever I could, and especially when I encountered other people who were grieving. Eventually, I was given the opportunity to work on a seminar on grief and loss, to more formally help people have what I didn't have when John died. And it caught fire. And demand grew. So I went to graduate school. I got a master's degree and advanced certifications so that I'd have the academic backing and so I could gain a language to describe this experience. I founded a support group for widowed people that I still facilitate today. I taught graduate and undergraduate classes for over 10 years. I've worked with over 2,000 grieving people. I've written, I've published, and now I travel all over the country and beyond. And everywhere I go, I bring a life-giving message. How you can heal. And how you can help the people you care about to do the same. So today, I'm going to offer you a couple of easy but powerful lessons that you can implement immediately. And then I'll also talk a little bit about how death intertwines with life. So let's start with something that everybody faces sooner or later. Now maybe you see the notification on social media, or maybe you get the phone call. You know the one. Hi, I'm just calling to tell you Keith died last night. Oh my gosh, how do you answer that? Well, I'll tell you what people in this country do. What are the first words out of their mouth or the first words they type? What is it? Yeah, I'm so sorry. You could do so much better. Now, wait a minute. I can see it. Wait a minute. Don't say I'm so sorry. Are you kidding? That's what everybody says. Essentially, that's what we are trained to say. Well, that's one reason why not to. Have you ever looked at anybody's social media page after a family member dies? Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. You know, by the time I see it, hear it, read it for the 357th time, it just doesn't mean very much anymore. It's not very helpful, it's neutral, and many times it can actually be a negative. Many times I've heard grieving people tell me what a man recently said. He said, my mom died 3 months ago, and if one more person tells me how sorry they are, I'm going to spit. Besides, it's a conversation stopper for the grieving person. I don't even know how to answer you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you? I mean, that's what people say because they don't know what else to say, but it doesn't quite fit when you think about it, does it? What grieving people tell me they want to say is, yeah, I am too. Or, not half as sorry as I am. Now, they don't say those things because grieving people become very tolerant and appreciative of folks who really are trying to help. They just don't know any better. But what if, instead, you posted something more like this on their social media page? Oh my gosh, I just saw him a couple of days ago. And you know, when I did, I was reminded how much I love that wacky sense of humor. He was also the kind of guy that no matter who he was with, he treated everybody with such kindness. Wow, we are really going to miss Keith's laugh and his compassion. He was a true gem. Or a little different situation. You know, it's always hard when your mom dies. No matter the depth of your relationship, there is a void in the world now that will never be filled in the same way again. My heart is with you, and I'll be in touch as you go through this. Think for a minute. Can you sense in your head and your heart the difference between words like that and, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss? Then when you're in person or when you go to the services, and I hope you do go to the services, there's no substitute for personal presence. But you want to do the same kind of a thing. If you can, bring a story, bring a memory. And you can ask the grieving person for their stories, for their memories. Ask things like, so what is one thing that you hope people remember about Karen? What did you love about your sister? Or what is something that your dad taught you, either explicitly or just by the way he lived, that you hope to be able to teach your own kids? Don't be afraid to say the name either. Grieving people always tell me how hurtful it is that by a week or two after the funeral, folks talk about anybody and everybody except the person who died. As if their life made no difference. As if nobody else remembers. As if nobody else misses them. Even on those intensely painful days like that person's birthday, or their wedding anniversary, or the anniversary of the death. On those days, folks actually avoid the grieving person. They don't know what to say, so they say nothing at all. It's very isolating. Or if they do happen to encounter the grieving person, they certainly don't bring it up or say the name. Well, don't let that be you. You give a call. Hi, I know it's Al's birthday today, so what do you have planned? Are you going to go to the cemetery? Are you getting together with family? Or are you just going to cocoon in bed all day? What's it like for you today on Al's birthday? Or bring over a little bit of their favorite comfort food. You know, everybody's got a comfort food, right? It might be dark chocolate. Maybe yours is macaroni and cheese, pizza, biscuits and gravy, whatever. Bring over a little bit of their favorite comfort food and say, I know that Al's birthday is going to be a tough day. I just thought a little comfort food might help you get through. When a classmate or a colleague returns from bereavement leave, have a single rose in a bud vase on their desk with a note that says, this is hard. I'm here for you. I will always listen. And then do it. And keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep doing it. Because, let me tell you, grief is not over in a week, or a month, or a year. In fact, for a significant death, for the rest of your life, you will occasionally get ambushed. It doesn't mean you haven't healed. It means you never forget. Because you're not supposed to forget. I'll let you in on a little secret, too. When you learn good grief support skills, you use them all the time, not just when there's a death. Because grief is triggered whenever there's a break in an attachment. Whenever you have to leave behind someone or something, or a function or ability, or a belief in the way life works, or a dream. Whenever you have to leave behind something you're attached to, something you love, something you're familiar with, you like your life that way, and you have to go forward and learn how to live without it, that triggers grief. So yeah, death triggers grief. So does divorce. So does having a child born with disabilities, or acquiring a disability yourself. Or not being able to have a child, infertility. So does not getting into the college or the graduate school that you wanted. Or getting in, going through the program, and then you have to graduate and go out into the world on your own. Being robbed, getting a serious diagnosis, changing jobs. Actually, even positive transitions trigger grief. Because even if you're going to something better, you're getting a bigger house, you're a better paying job, you're having a baby, you're retiring, you still have to let a lot go in order to get there. You see, every transition we go through, and we all face a lifetime of transitions, every transition is a both and. In every transition, both the ones we call negative and the ones we call positive, there's things I'm happy about, or relieved over, or grateful for. And at the exact same time, there's things I miss, things I long for, things I grieve. So when you learn good grief support skills, it means you can be there for the people you care about in every transition of their lives. And often in ways that other people can't, because they just don't know any better. One final thought. Because of my life and my work, I know the swiftness with which death can strike. In fact, I know that somebody I love might have died and I just don't know about it yet. Now hang on, that is not a morbid thought. It's a life-giving thought. Because it reminds me that I'm not in control. It keeps me grounded. It helps me really appreciate who I have and what I have because I don't know how long it's going to last. It changes the way I live. Let me give you an example. I have made it a practice that every time I leave somebody I love, whether it's in person or on the phone, the last thing I tell them is, I love you. Because I have heard so many stories in support groups of people who loved each other very much, but their last words were angry. They had an argument, somebody stormed out the door, they hung up on the phone, and then that person died. And it complicates their grief because there's unfinished business, there's guilt, there's regrets. In my case, John called me from the road when he took a break driving on his way home that night. As we hung up, the last words he ever said to me were, I love you, Amy. last words I ever said to him were, "I love you, John." That feels really good. And so I do it all the time. In fact, in this and in so many other ways, I really try. I'm not perfect. None of us are. I wish I was. But I really try to live my life so that if I die tonight, and I might, that I die with as few regrets as possible. And if somebody I love dies tonight, and they might, that they die in the sure knowledge that I love them. What can you do in your life? Can you do something like that? Or just maintain a balance. Think about the people you really care about. How often do you yell at them, complain to them, or complain to someone else about them, versus how often you say, "Thank you for the gift you are to me. I love you. I am so proud to be your child, your sibling, your parent, your partner, your friend. You make my world a better place." Live with appreciation and let the people you care about know it. You will never regret that. Well, I hope in this very brief time I have helped you realize the gift of life and the reality of death. Not in a morbid or depressing way, but in a life-giving way that helps you find appreciation and healing and hope and peace, and helps you bring it to the people you care about too. And as we close, I am so appreciative. I'm really grateful to all of you because you chose to spend this little sliver of your precious life with me. Thank you very much.